You know, some military units are known for their history, and others for their big victories. But every now and then, you get a unit that's defined by a single, powerful nickname. Today, we're digging into the story of the 14th East Bengal Regiment of the Bangladesh Army, or, as they're better known, the Ferocious 14. And to really get who they are, you have to start with the words they live and breathe.
And listen, this isn't just some catchy phrase. It's pretty much their entire philosophy, bringing the battle to the enemy. That right there is the aggressive, proactive spirit that has defined this unit for decades, as we're about to see.
So who are they on paper? Well, the 14th East Bengal is a light infantry battalion. And what that really means is they're built for speed, they're built for agility. They can move fast through really tough terrain where bigger, heavier forces would just get bogged down. And that phrase you see on the screen, relentless operational drive, that's not just jargon. It is the absolute heart of their identity.
Okay, this slide really breaks down their cultural DNA. First up, their motto, Shakti Mukti Pragoti. It translates to power, freedom, progress. I mean, those are some heavy-hitting ideals. Then you have their lineage. They're part of the Senior Tigers, which is the oldest and most respected infantry regiment in the whole country. So yeah, that's a serious legacy to live up to. And that symbol, that scarlet hackle they wear on their beret, that is a hard-earned mark of an elite infantry unit, something they've worn with a ton of pride since they were founded back in 1976.
So how in the world does a unit get a name like Ferocious? You might think it happened in some huge, famous war, but the reputation was actually forged right at home, in the dense, completely unforgiving jungles of Bangladesh.
And this is so important. The nickname wasn't just handed to them, it was earned, totally organically. Right from their earliest days, their commanders noticed something different about them. During these absolutely grueling training exercises, they didn't just meet the standards for things like endurance and aggression, they blew past them every time. They didn't just do the job, they attacked it.
This timeline really shows you how that reputation was built brick by brick. They were formed in '76, but their real trial by fire came in the '80s and '90s, with those exhausting counter-insurgency operations in the Chittagong Hill Tracts. I mean, that's what made them combat veterans. But then look at the next phase. From the '90s onward, they also became the go-to unit for national disaster relief. It shows this completely different humanitarian side to their character.
So all that time spent slugging it out in the Chittagong Hill Tracts, well, it turned them into absolute masters of jungle warfare. I mean, think about what that takes. Long-range patrols where you're on your own for weeks and developing a special talent for setting up brutally effective ambushes. They got so good at it that they literally wrote the book on it. They developed the standard operating procedures, the SOPs, that the rest of the Army still uses for jungle combat today. Okay, so you've got this unit known for being ferocious. And you'd probably think peacekeeping would be a weird fit, right? But this is where their story takes this really fascinating turn. They managed to take all that intensity and channel it into a completely different mission on the world stage.
This is what's so incredible about the Ferocious 14. They have this amazing duality. They took that same aggressive energy and just repurposed it. And you might ask, why does that even work? Well, it's because that kind of battlefield tenacity requires an insane amount of discipline. So for peacekeeping, that discipline translates into this hyper-efficiency and super detailed planning, which makes them one of the most reliable and sought-after units for UN missions.
And just take a look at this table. It gives you a snapshot of how incredibly diverse their deployments are. And we are not talking about simple sit-and-watch observation posts here. Look at the DR Congo, counter-militia operations, or Mali, high-risk convoy security. These are active, incredibly dangerous missions where their combat skills were absolutely essential, not just for the mission's success, but for their own survival.
All right, so a history like that is impressive for sure. But what about today? How is the Ferocious 14 staying ahead of the curve and evolving for the challenges of the 21st century? Let's take a look.
Let's talk about one number, 2030. This number represents the future. It's the target for Forces Goal 2030, which is this massive modernization plan for the entire Bangladesh military. Now, for a legendary unit like the 14th East Bengal, this isn't just about getting shiny new gear. It's about fundamentally evolving their role in modern warfare. And this chart, it lays out that evolution perfectly. On one side, you have their traditional roles, like counterinsurgency and jungle warfare. Those skills are still there, absolutely, but now they're layered with modern capabilities. They're moving towards integrated maneuver operations, which is really just a fancy military way of saying they can work seamlessly with tanks, artillery, and air support.
It's a huge shift from being jungle specialists to being a versatile, all-purpose modern fighting force.
And of course, you can't have modernization without the gear to back it up. We're talking night vision goggles, which means they can totally own the night. Advanced communication systems let them coordinate really complex operations. And those anti-tank missiles? Whoa. They give a fast-moving light infantry unit the power to take on heavy armor, which makes them a much more lethal and flexible force on any battlefield.
So what does a unit like this actually look like on an org chart? Well, it's roughly 800 to 900 soldiers. It's built around a core of 4 rifle companies. You've got Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta. These are basically the teeth of the battalion, the main fighting element. And they're all directed by a central headquarters and supplied by their own dedicated support company.
So, after looking at their past and their present, what is the real lasting legacy of this unit? Because it's about so much more than just battles fought and missions completed. It's about the spirit they've created.
You can really see their legacy in a few key areas. At home, they're a huge force for stability. Globally, they're like ambassadors, boosting Bangladesh's reputation in UN peacekeeping. But maybe the most impressive thing, as you see here, is that they are a leadership factory. The intense discipline and initiative it takes to be a soldier in the Ferocious 14 has proven to be the perfect training ground for future high-ranking commanders across the entire army.
But at the end of the day, it all comes back to their identity. They're part of that proud senior Tiger family, for sure. But they have their own uniquely ferocious subculture. That scarlet hackle isn't just for show. It's a physical reminder of the elite standard every single soldier in that unit is expected to live up to, every single day.
And all of this leaves us with one big central question, doesn't it? The story of the Ferocious 14 is really a masterclass in controlled aggression. It makes you wonder, what does it take to cultivate that fire, that ferocity you need for combat, while at the same time instilling the restraint and discipline you have to be a guardian of peace? It's a balance very few can strike, but it's one this legendary unit has absolutely made its own.